It was everywhere. Every corner of TikTok was flooded with the #10-minute terror challenge. A grainy video, a hooded figure, a raspy voice. Spend 10 minutes in a haunted place or be cursed. The rules were simple. Pick a spooky spot. Film yourself for 10 minutes. Post it with the hashtag. Easy, right? Wrong. This wasn't just another internet fad. This was different. This was dangerous. Max, the daredevil. Always up for a challenge no matter how crazy. Sarah, the skeptic. She didn't believe in ghosts, but loved a good scare. Ben, the techie. Armed with his camera, ready to capture every spine-chilling moment. And Chloe, the sensitive one. She had a bad feeling about this, but didn't want to let her friends down. They were the fearless four, ready to conquer the #10-minute terror challenge. The old lakeside amusement park. Abandoned, desolate, and rumored to be haunted. Perfect. The rusted Ferris wheel stood against the darkening sky like a skeletal giant. The wind howled through the broken windows of the haunted house, whispering tales of forgotten nightmares. This was no ordinary playground. This was their battleground. The air grew heavy, laughter died down. An unsettling silence descended. Ben set up his camera, the red light blinking ominously in the gathering darkness. "Okay guys, 10 minutes, Max said, his voice unnaturally loud in the stillness. But even his usual bravado couldn't hide the tremor in his voice. Something was wrong, very wrong.
Let's split up.
Max suggested, his voice echoing in the cavernous silence.
More ground covered, more scares, more likes.
Against her better judgment, Sarah agreed.
Chloe, her heart pounding in her chest, clung to Ben.
He gripped his camera, his knuckles white. They ventured deeper into the heart of the park, the darkness closing in around them like a suffocating blanket. Section 6. Trapped. Max found himself lost in a maze of twisted mirrors, each reflection a grotesque mockery of his own fear. The labyrinth seemed endless, with every turn leading to more confusion and despair. The dim lights cast eerie shadows, making it hard to distinguish reality from illusion. Max's heart pounded as he tried to find an exit, but the mirrors only reflected his growing panic. He could hear faint whispers, as if the mirrors themselves were taunting him. Sarah stumbled upon a carousel, its horses eerily frozen mid-gallop, their painted eyes seeming to follow her every move. The once cheerful music of the carousel was now a haunting melody, playing in slow, distorted tones. She felt a chill run down her spine as she walked past the horses, their lifelike expressions adding to the unsettling atmosphere. The carousel creaked and groaned, as if it were alive, watching her every step. Ben and Chloe, huddled together, reached the haunted house. The old mansion loomed over them, its windows dark and foreboding. The air was thick with tension, and every creak of the wooden steps made their hearts race. They could hear the distant sound of footsteps inside, but couldn't tell if it was real or just their imagination. The house seemed to breathe, its walls whispering secrets of the past. The door creaked open, inviting them into its shadowy embrace. The darkness inside was almost palpable, swallowing the light from their flashlights. As they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them, sealing their fate. The air was cold and damp, and the smell of decay filled their nostrils. Every corner seemed to hide a new terror, and the silence was broken only by the sound of their own breathing. The timer on Max's phone flashed 5 minutes. Panic set in as he realized how little time they had left. The countdown seemed to tick faster with each passing second, amplifying the urgency of their situation. Max's hands trembled as he tried to think of a way out. The pressure was immense, and every second felt like an eternity. They were running out of time. The weight of their predicament pressed heavily on their shoulders. Each of them felt the crushing burden of the ticking clock, knowing that failure was not an option. The darkness seemed to close in around them, and the sense of impending doom grew stronger. They had to find a way out, and fast, before time ran out completely. Section 7. Glitch in the Matrix. The air crackled with an unseen energy, a palpable tension that seemed to distort reality itself. It was as if the very fabric of the world was fraying at the edges, revealing glimpses of something otherworldly beneath. The night was thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant hoot of an owl. But even these sounds seemed out of place, as if they were echoes from another time or dimension. Shadows danced around them, taking on monstrous shapes. They twisted and contorted, morphing into grotesque figures that seemed to leer and reach out with clawed hands. The darkness was alive, a malevolent force that seemed to be toying with them, testing their resolve. Every step they took was fraught with danger. Every corner they turned held the potential for terror. The shadows were not just a trick of the light, they were entities in their own right, feeding off their fear. A blood-curdling scream pierced the night, shattering the fragile silence. It was a scream of pure, unadulterated terror, a sound that seemed to come from the very depths of someone's soul. The scream echoed through the empty amusement park, bouncing off the rusted rides and dilapidated structures, amplifying its intensity. It was a scream that spoke of unimaginable horrors, of things that lurked in the shadows, waiting to pounce. Max spun around, his blood turning to ice. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat a deafening drum that seemed to echo in his ears. He could feel the cold sweat trickling down his back, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The world around him seemed to blur, the edges of his vision darkening as panic set in. He knew he wasn't alone. Something was watching him, something that thrived on his fear. The Ferris wheel groaned back to life, its rusty gears grinding against the silence. The sound was jarring, a harsh reminder of the park's former glory now reduced to a haunting relic. The Ferris wheel creaked and moaned, its movement slow and labored, as if it were awakening from a long slumber. The sight of the rusted metal and peeling paint was a stark contrast to the vibrant memories of laughter and joy that once filled the air. The carousel whirled into motion, its haunting melody filling the air. The music was eerie, a distorted version of the cheerful tunes that once played. The carousel's horses, with their chipped paint and broken limbs, seemed to come alive, their eyes glinting with a sinister light. The ride spun faster and faster, the melody growing louder and more discordant, creating a cacophony of sound that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. The amusement park was coming alive, and they were trapped within its terrifying game. The once joyful place had transformed into a nightmarish landscape, where every ride and attraction held a sinister secret. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the echoes of forgotten laughter. They could feel the park's malevolent presence, a force that seemed to be drawing them deeper into its twisted embrace. There was no escape. They were pawns in a game they didn't understand, a game that promised only one outcome: terror. Section 8. Home safe? The title itself is a question that lingers in the air like a fog. Are they truly safe at home, or is the nightmare far from over? They woke up in their beds, sheets tangled around their legs, hearts pounding in their chests. The comfort of their rooms did little to erase the terror etched into their minds. Each one of them had the same thought. Was it all just a dream? The amusement park was just a bad dream? Or was it? Max's hands still trembled, the memory of the cold metal of the rides and the eerie silence of the park still fresh. He could almost hear the distant echoes of laughter, twisted and distorted. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of icy breath on her neck. It was as if someone, or something, was always just a step behind her, watching, waiting. The goosebumps on her skin were a constant reminder of the unseen presence. Ben's camera held only corrupted files, the images twisted and unrecognizable. He had hoped to find some evidence, something to prove that what they experienced was real, but all he found were digital screams echoing their own terror. The audio files were no better, filled with erratic spikes and strange noises. It was as if the very essence of their fear had been captured and stored in the device. And Chloe? She couldn't look at mirrors anymore. Every time she did, she saw something that shouldn't be there. A shadowy figure lurking just out of sight. A sinister presence that seemed to mock her. The reflection staring back at her wasn't hers. It was something else. Something sinister. It was as if the mirror had become a portal to another world. A world where nightmares were real and safety was an illusion. Something that had followed them home. The dark, ominous figure was always there, lurking in the shadows. A constant reminder that the nightmare was far from over. They were home, but they were not safe. The question remained, would they ever be? Section 9. The final scream. Their phones buzzed simultaneously. A notification from TikTok. A new challenge awaited. #you are next. The screen flickered, revealing the distorted image of the abandoned amusement park. And then, a chilling laughter echoed from the speakers, sending shivers down their spines. The challenge was far from over. The real terror had just begun.